Today is Monday, September 18th, 2023. Thank you for joining us in person in Contoy's Auditorium and online for the Burlington City Council meeting. The time as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Travers. Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say no. We have our agenda. That brings us to the second item on our agenda, which is 2.1, a communication litigation update with an expected executive session. We don't have the administration here. We have the city attorney. So normally we would go to find out if there's any information that can be conveyed in open session to community members. Don't mean to get you as you're walking in the door, Mayor. Do you have any information that you wanted to share in open session before we go into executive session?
Thank you, President Paul. I don't believe so. I'd look to Deputy City Attorney, see if there's anything you feel like you'd like to share.
Sure. The purposes of this update is just for the City Attorney's Office to bring City Councilors up to speed on any pending and possible litigation before the city. And due to the sensitive nature of our positions in these various litigation matters, that's why we're requesting the executive session. But it's just a general update to City Councilors that we want to provide to you periodically to make sure you're up to date with what's going on in our litigation world.
Great, thank you very much. With that, we have two motions to go into executive session. I'll go to Councilor Travers for the first. Do you want me to say it? It's okay. I got it.
I'll move that the council find that premature general public knowledge of legal advice and information concerning the details of probable and pending litigation to which the city is a party or has a stated interest would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage.
Thank you, Councilor Travers. Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Councilor King. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. That motion passes.
Recording in progress.
That motion passes unanimously. And based on that motion, Councilor Travers, if I could have the second motion.
Based upon that finding, I move that the council go into executive session to receive confidential attorney-client communications under 1 VSA Section 313A1F in a pending or probate civil litigation matter, also pursuant to 1 VSA Section 313A1E.
Thank you, Councilor Travers, seconded by Councilor King. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Councilor Jang. We can't see you, but we do hear you. Any opposed, please say no. That motion passes unanimously, and we're now in executive session. In order to have executive session, when we have participants on Zoom, we need to go downstairs to the Busher Room. So we will go downstairs. We were expecting this item to be about a half an hour, so we're hoping to be back here at around 20 after 7. The time is now 7:52. Thank you so much to everyone who has waited for public forum. We do have two people who have asked to speak in public forum who are Burlington residents and are here in Contoy's. The first is Kurt McCormick, to be followed by Jada Bearden. Kurt, thank you so much for waiting for us. Please. If you just press the button in front of you that says push.
It's okay, Madam President. You folks work really hard. I can't believe it. So this will be a little bit of a change for you, I think. I'm here to talk to you about engine idling. It's becoming an epidemic around the country, including in Burlington. Department of Energy estimates that 6 billion gallons are wasted a year on engine idling. That's 60 million tons of CO2. I don't know if you've ever noticed UPS trucks, they always cut their engines. They have to. There's software on board every truck, including the smallest delivery trucks. A driver's got a problem if he forgets to turn the engine off when he stops. They estimate that they are saving $515,000, $500,000 every hour. Every hour, $500,000 in fuel costs. So it's more than you might. It's much more than you might think, and it's obviously more than a lot of drivers think. About half of it comes from passenger cars, and the other half from trucks, but they're both very damaging. So we have a city ordinance against idling. It's a very good ordinance, actually, well-written, with good exemptions. And we also have state law making it illegal to idle your engine. So when a person idles their engine in Burlington, they're breaking a city ordinance and they're breaking a law. I have asked the mayor, and I have written to the chief of police. This is back when it was chief of police was Del Pozo. Asking them to simply request of the police to inform motorists of the law and make them aware that idling your engine is not a good thing. It's actually against the law. No ticket, no citation. So I'm making that same request of you. Please request of the police to inform idling motorists that they shouldn't be doing it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. So we do have the other person who would wish to speak during public forum is Jada Bearden. And just wanted, we have very few people who wish to speak during public forum. Just wanted to also remind you that there is a light system in front of you on the table. The green light will shine when you begin speaking, the second yellow light when you have 30 seconds left, and then the red light when your time is up. And just ask that you complete your sentence when your time is up. We do have two people that are joining us by Zoom, and I'm trying to co-host the meeting so that I can call on them. I'm not sure if we have someone who is co-hosting who is online. Is there someone who's doing that, Lori? Okay, so she can make me a co-host so that I can enable their microphones. And then just keep in mind that the only other rule that we have regarding public forum is that you please speak respectfully and do not personalize your items. Do not personalize your speaking. Just direct it to me as the chair. So Jada, you are a second speaker. Thanks so much for waiting for us. Please go ahead.
Yeah, can you wait for me while I finish my water? Lubrication is important. Public speaking. All right. Hello. I'm Jada Bearden of Africa, not of Vermont or any ward per se. Yes, I am here in response to last week's meeting, during general comment from the counselors. One of the counselors had a lot to say that night. And unfortunately, I had to leave because I had work in the morning. So that's why I'm a little, annoyed with the chair because it's about to be 8 o'clock, y'all. I got school. I'm a tutor, and I'm also a Black artist and an activist, and I do my best to abide by the laws. I also am a disruptor. But one of your counselors, who is a white woman, had two things to say, right? First, I didn't spill the water this time. I'll pick that up, please. So the chair, I will address the chair, but I'm talking about a counselor, that's allowed. They were like, the person Todd didn't complete his public forum comment, which was wrong. Rachel only got up because he was going over time and berating Black people who were sitting to the right of us. And two, she also commented that people should stick to the agenda meeting and the 2 minutes, right? So that counselor was very contradictory, and when you communicate in a way that's passive-aggressive, microaggressive, and not healthy or mature, you shut down dialogue, right? So as a city councilor, a public official, and a private citizen, get your life together, right? And since we're speaking on city councilors, I'm gonna hurry up. Perry Freeman, an ex-city councilor, attacked me last June.
Point of order.
Thank you so much.
You said I can finish my sentence, you remember?
You have your 2 minutes, and that was your 2
Perry
minutes.
Freeman
Thank you
attacked
so
me at
much.
T-Rugs.
I'm sorry, but
This
your 2
past
minutes
June-
is over. Your 2 minutes
This past
is up.
June, Perry
Point of order.
Freeman.
Yes.
Perry
Order.
Freeman.
Point of order.
2 minutes are up.
Okay, I'm gonna finish
Your
my.
2
I'm gonna
minutes-
finish.
your
I'm gonna
2
finish my
minutes are up.
sentence.
The rule is
Perry
not
Freeman
personalized
attacked
to
me
comment.
at
Point-
T-Rugs.
Point of order.
An
Your
ex-city
2 minutes
councilor.
are up. Thank you so
And
much.
she put her
We're gonna
hands
go on
on
to
me.
the next speaker.
And I'm a Black
The next
person in Vermont. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay
No,
right there.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna stay right there because it's public forum. I'm gonna get
No,
off. I'm gonna get
you've
off your mic.
spoken for 2 minutes.
I'm gonna get off your mic, but I'm gonna say this
You have
because Perry
spoken for
fucking
two-
Freeman
you have
put her
spoken.
hands on me
Point of order.
in Burlington, Vermont.
You have spoken
And as
your
a
2
white
minutes.
woman,
You have spoken
you will not silence me.
spoken
You
your
will not
2
silence me.
minutes.
You started the fucking
Please
thing
stop.
Point of
20
order.
minutes
Please
late, bro.
stop.
You
But
won't
your
CP
2
time tonight, bro. As a
You have
Black person,
spoken
I'm
your 2
reclaiming
minutes.
my fucking
Please
time,
stop.
bro.
And you've had your 2 minutes. Thank
Start
you
on
so
time
much.
next week,
Thank you
bitch.
so much.
Actually.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, let us finish the meeting. Let us
You and Max Tracy, you're laughable. You sit
Stop.
on your
Stop.
fucking chair and you bang your
Point of order. President
I
Paul,
have
may we
not
have
done
a
anything.
recess, please?
bang. Let me finish my fucking
May we have a recess, please?
We'll take a recess.
Thank you, President Paul.
Karen, I've lived here. I came here when I was 18, and they called me a rapist. I ain't raped nobody. This white woman, man, that white man, and you a white woman, and you continue to uphold white supremacy with your 2 fucking minute bullshit, man. Fuck your professionalism, fuck your capitalism, and fuck your corporate America. Speak, bitch. Fuck it. Goddamn, I'ma sit the fuck right here. I didn't spill the fucking water this time. I'ma fucking collect myself. I'ma get this pitcher of water. It's mine tonight. And I'ma stand right here, excuse me. I'ma sit right here. And I'ma watch y'all. And I'ma hold y'all bullshitters accountable. Fuck your recess. Fuck your mic. And fuck your 2 minutes, man. Fuck I feel. Take my fucking socks off so I can regulate my body temperature. Got me fucking hot. Yeah, I do. I actually really do want to do that. Take my fucking water. Man, fuck this cup. I'm recycled. They gonna lock me up and I don't.
Requested to speak during public forum that are joining us by Zoom. The first is Katie Lesser, and I don't see you, Katie, on. There is someone who there's one telephone number, but I believe I know that number. So Katie, if you do rejoin us, then we'll be happy to recognize you. The other person is Peter Duval, and Peter, I have found you on Zoom and enabled your microphone. I'm not sure if we have it set up with the timer, but we do. Okay, we do have the timer set up. We just can't see it on our screen, but we'll let you know, I guess, when the two minutes is up in case you can't see that. We now have it in front of us. So Peter, please go ahead, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the McNeil Generating Station and the Super Silly steam transmission pipe. And thank you for making public comment so convenient. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
The McNeil joint owners met September 11th, the news of which may have been obscured by the electric department's webinar on September 12th. But there was a lot of disappointing information in the materials of the September 11 packet. I'm sure some of you read it and were disappointed that Putin's war had only a temporary effect on McNeil revenue, making it momentarily profitable on paper. The new financial statements make it clear that the plant's gone right back to unprofitability and its old money-losing ways. And of course, it's the most polluting stationary source in the state. It's just a matter of time before the plant must be retired, as Re-Energy's Black River plant and soon Burgess Biopower plant in New Hampshire, following Governor Sununu's veto of the subsidy bill. When the city and the state finally come to an acknowledgement about the McNeil financial disaster, I'm sure heads could roll. You could clean house at the Electric Commission and demand resignations from management. But how are you going to recover all of the energy efficiency funds that have been misspent goofing around with the silly steam pipe? Sue VGS, or see if the PUC would take money out of VGS's profits? Or shift the burden of responsibility from ratepayers to taxpayers? They're the same people. I don't envy you. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, and seeing no other speakers, and I'm still looking for Katie Lesser, my apologies for the public forum starting as late as it did. We will then close public forum at 8:09 and continue with the next item on our agenda, which is item number 4, climate emergency reports. Is there any counselor or the administration that wishes to offer a climate emergency report? Mayor Weinberger.
Thank you, President Paul. Yes, there are a couple upcoming events I wanted to alert the council and the public to. One is that this Saturday will be the second annual, I believe, Net Zero Energy Festival hosted by the Burlington Electric Department. And there will be information, electric vehicles, various electrical appliances, and more available for the public to use, enjoy, ask questions about at the Burlington Electric Department all day on Saturday, and encourage people to check it out and consider going. And then in addition, on Wednesday evening, there is a panel discussion that, is taking place at Main Street Landing. And it is a viewing and a panel discussion of a documentary on energy, empowered energy heroes. And this is a documentary that's been in the works for a number of years. And it includes significant focus on the Burlington Electric Department and various efforts that BED has made over the years to become a net zero energy city, to become the first city in the country to be 100% renewable, and to electrify everything. And I would encourage folks to consider joining us at Main Street Landing on Wednesday evening, the 20th, I believe at 6 o'clock, and you can find more information on the screening on the Burlington Electric Department website. Thank you, President Paul.
Thank you so much, Mayor Weinberger. Are there any councilors who wish to offer a climate emergency report? And I also just wanted to acknowledge that Councilor Zhang is joining us via Zoom. It's a little bit difficult because we can't see him, but he is there. Are there any other councilors? Seeing none. And Councilor Zhang, if you can just speak up. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, we can only see one person at a time. So if you wish to speak, just kindly let us know. Thank you. Seeing no others, we'll close out that item and go to item number 5, which is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to move our consent agenda and take the actions indicated?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Travers, seconded by Councilor King. Any discussion on that item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. We have approved our consent agenda unanimously, which brings us to our deliberative agenda, and we have only one item this evening on our deliberative agenda. That is item 6.1, which is the fiscal year 23 fiscal health report. And for this item, I do believe we have our Chief Administrative Officer, Catherine Shad, who's joining us by Zoom to speak to this report. And Catherine, I think you have a PowerPoint that you wanted to share with us. Again, we can't see you, but I believe that you're there.
Okay, can you see me now?
Now we can see you, yes.
Okay, great. I was messing around with the settings, trying to improve them. Clearly, I failed. In any event, I am home with COVID, and so I have asked the mayor if he would take over, since those of you who attended Board of Finance know that I already gave a lengthy presentation tonight. So, Mayor Weinberger, if you would please give the presentation. I'm going to run the PowerPoint. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. And just to make sure we're coordinated, you said you are going to run the PowerPoint still, right? Great. And
Sure am. I'm
okay.
pulling it up right now.
Pulling it up right now. Excellent. So, so this is a PowerPoint that basically expands on the report that Catherine submitted to you all for tonight's meeting. This fiscal health report is something that we've done most years, going back for a decade now. It was initially requested by councilors in the wake of the vote by the public and council to take what at the time was somewhat unusual action and approved something we called at the time the Fiscal Stability Bond. It was a $9 million bond that allowed the city to replace $9 million of short-term borrowing that the city had been forced to do in the wake of what happened with Burlington Telecom, and replace it with this long-term amortizing debt. And the thinking at the time, or the discussion at the time, was that it would be important and difficult for the public to understand what exactly the bond did, and this report was requested. And I do think it is a good time for us to check in on this again, because because there are some updates with respect to our credit rating and borrowing that this report speaks to. So that's the background, and maybe Catherine, if you could move forward. This will do a quick review of the way the city's credit rating works and the history here. This is sort of the full range of credit ratings that municipalities can have, and where you fall on this spectrum from all the way at the very lowest, very high credit risk to lowest level of credit risk, where you fall as a municipality in this range has an impact on the cost of borrowing. In 2012, in the summer of 2012, the city was downgraded 3 steps to Baa3 and given a negative outlook, which meant that Moody's was telegraphing that they were likely to downgrade the city again in the next 18 months or so if action wasn't taken. Had there been a further downgrade from Baa3, you fall into that gray area, substantial credit risk. People, colloquially, that gets referred to as junk bond status. It's a significant threshold. There's a number of debt covenants the city had at the time that would have been triggered had we fallen below that threshold, and it would have been quite costly. It could have resulted in the revocation of the one short-term borrowing instrument that the city had access to at the time. Had we fallen below that, the city, could well have been in a true financial crisis that could have, threatened the city's ability to perform basic financial functions like making payroll. So having that alert was a wake-up call and caused us to take action after that. That was really, in many ways, the precipitating factor that caused us to seek this fiscal stability bond and get voter approval for it in the fall of 2012, and to take a number of other actions that were highlighted in the audit that we had that year. And that when all these actions took place, it took years, but between the passage of the fiscal stability bond in 2012 and 2019, the city was upgraded 6 steps all the way back to the AA3 rating that it had been at prior to the start of the Burlington Telecom challenges. And you can see AA3 is considered a very low credit risk, and thus the borrowing costs are substantially lower. And really what the report tries to do. These quotes come from a new document that just came out in August of this year. It was a credit opinion, which is, Moody's puts out a range of different types of documents. Sometimes they take new credit action. In this case, they weren't taking any new credit action, but it was basically a credit opinion that gave further detail and explained why the city has the AA3 rating that it has. And these are a couple quotes about why they felt that continued to be the right rating. What's the impact of this? The report tries to put into terms that will be meaningful to the public what the impact of these upgrades is. The report makes a distinction between 2 types of savings. One has to do with the recent $130 million bond for the new high school that we just closed on last week. Those bonds were issued at an interest rate of 3.84%. So still, despite all the interest rate hikes that the Federal Reserve has imposed since the start of the pandemic, because the city has this AA rating, we are still able to borrow money long-term for less than 4%. sorry, just to go back real quick, what the slide is showing there is if the bonds, if we were still back in the 2012, 2013, 2014 period, and we were trying to do this borrowing at BAA3, the interest rate, the current interest rate would be 5.31%. So 0.5% difference, which may not sound enormous, but when you apply that to $130 million in 20-year borrowing, the impact is substantial. It's about the net present value savings are $20.5 million. So the actual savings are greater than that, but there's a discount since some of those savings are for years, as much as 20 years into the future. This is in addition, as the next slide shows this for all the other borrowing that we have done in the period going back to when the credit rate increases began in 2015. The current dollar savings of the remainder of the borrowing that has been done by the schools, by the general fund borrowing, as well as by other rate-paying agencies, enterprises. You add all that up, and the ratepayer and taxpayer savings has been $24 million. So the combined total is just under $45 million in locked-in savings as a result of these credit rate increases. There's a couple things that I think are worth, and the report speaks to as to why have we gotten these credit rate increases, and I think they're worth reviewing because of the decisions that we have to make on an annual basis as administration and council. One of them has to do with the unassigned fund balance. We think of this as sort of a rainy day fund. This is something that factors heavily into the rating because it goes directly to the confidence that Moody's has that we will be able to make our payments to our bondholders, even if there are unforeseen events. I think we have a graph on the next slide that shows kind of maybe do we have that graph? Maybe not. Yeah, here it is. So it shows, one of the reasons Moody's was so alarmed and did the big rate decreases back in 2012 was that we actually not only did we not have any rainy day fund, we were about $15 million in the red. We were only able to pay our bills at the time because of the short-term borrowing that we were doing. The fiscal stability bond, as well as some other actions, quickly got us out of the red, and you can see through the following fiscal years, we got back up to what is now the policy of having somewhere between 5 and 15% of the general fund's operating totals in reserve, and we have been able to maintain those levels despite through the pandemic and afterwards, and I think we continue to be at a little over 9%. Is where we believe we are now, as we're still waiting the final audited numbers for FY23. The other factor that I think is maybe the last, let's see, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, go to the next. Go to the next.
Where do you want me to go, Mayor?
You can go to, sorry, did you want to say something, Catherine?
No. I just wonder where you want me to go because we're sort of out of order
yes.
now.
Just go to that bulleted page, and then I think we'll wrap up and see if there are any questions. So I think I basically spoke to all this. The only thing that's worth noting that I thought I had seen a slide on it, but maybe not. But it is. I did just want to share that as we were going through this process for the most recent Moody's action, we had a little bit of concern that there would be that the large increase in the amount of indebtedness that the city currently has with the $130 million in bonding for the high school, that might cause concern. And counselors who were here when we were, which I think is everybody, when we were considering approving the high school bond, or just about everybody, knows that we had public discussions about that, and we took and we were aware that the $130 million in borrowing was going to put us out of compliance with the relatively new debt policy that we created together with the Burlington School District in 2018, and that it has us exceeding those the targets that we had set there. But it was appreciated, and Catherine, correct me if you were on this part of the call and I was not, but it was noted that we had not changed the policy in response to the new borrowing needs, and that instead we had laid out a detailed, specific plan that both the school board and the council had publicly committed to, of coming back into compliance with that debt policy as soon as possible, and to not make a commitment not to make any additional unplanned borrowing until we reach that threshold. That had been noted by the agency and was seen as a strength, that there had not been some attempt to change the policy in the face of new circumstances. And they had already, if you dig into the details of the August credit document, which we did send out as a press release today, you'll note that in many ways the city is really deserves a higher credit rating than we have. They had already anticipated, because of years of past discussion, that we were going to need to do quite a bit of additional borrowing, and it is on the borrowing numbers. We are at an A as opposed to AA rating, and that factors into the overall score. So they had already taken into account that we would be borrowing a large amount for the new high school. They did not see a need to downgrade us as a result of that. They had already factored it in, and the joint action that we took together of being intentional about how we were doing it and committing to come back into compliance with the policy was appreciated and noted. I think it was part of that strong credit report. Did I basically have that right, Catherine? Do you want to add anything to that or anything else on the report?
That's exactly right, Mayor. Nothing to add.
Great, President Paul. I think with that then, I'm happy to answer any questions. Appreciate this opportunity to talk about, get into some of the weeds of the financial management, because I think it's important that we have these discussions, because as wonky and sort of technical as these conversations can be, getting this right fundamentally fundamentally drives whether or not the city is able to take actions like bonding for more than $150 million for high school and doing it on favorable terms. It goes to our ability to respond to a unexpected pandemic when it occurs. Getting the financial management right goes a long way towards us being able to achieve the many social, economic, and other goals, environmental and other goals that we have as a city. And I hope we can continue to take the strong actions that we have over the last decade together into the future.
Thank you very much, Mayor Weinberger, and thank you, CAO Shad, for being here with us. We'll open this up to the council and go to Councilor Shannon.
Thank you, President Paul. Mayor, I was wondering if you could kind of explain how the bond rates work with the borrowing. I thought that what we usually do is we don't borrow the whole bond at once. We borrow it incrementally as we're using it, so that we don't have to pay interest on money that we're not quite ready to spend. And so the rate that you showed, it was there kind of quickly, but I thought it was like 3.85 or something, which is an amazing rate. And what about upcoming bond, what is there that we haven't locked in a rate for, or what rates can change from here, not due to our credit rating, but because the rates have gone higher?
Thank you, Councilor Shannon. Let me try to speak to that. So the $130 million that we closed on last week for the high school, that did include, and it's possible, again, Catherine, correct me if I don't get part of this quite right, but the school district had some kind of interim financing instruments in place up until now for tens of millions of dollars of expenses that they have been incurring in the years leading up to now with the high school project and some of the early remediation and demolition work. And so I believe of the $130 million, $60 million of that was for refinancing existing debt and kind of replacing existing debt. I think the balance of $70 million was their projection of what they would be spending in the next year. They will be taking, the district will be taking steps to put the bond proceeds that they are not using in the next like 30 days or so, or I don't know exactly the cutoff, but goes into interest-bearing accounts so that it can be earning some money while it's waiting to be deployed. So they have a whole, that's about the extent of my understanding of their cash management and interest management plan, but it sounded prudent from my understanding of it. Hopefully, by the time that they are, over the next year, I think there's reason to be hopeful that the interest rate environment has plateaued and that we might even, if inflation continues to head in the right direction as it has most of the time in recent months, there's reason to be hopeful that we may be entering, coming to the end of these interest rate hikes, and so we won't have exposure to further increases in the future. That said, no one has a perfect crystal ball on exactly what's going to happen there, and for the remainder of the borrowings, for the other up to $35 million of borrowing that they could do, we're not protected from further interest rate hikes there, if that's your question.
Yes, that answers on the school side, but what about on the city side? Are there other bonds that we haven't drawn on yet that are approved?
On the city side, go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, just to provide a little bit more clarity, on the $130 million for the school, it is $40 million that has been refinanced. And Councilor Shannon, we have just completed the financing for our annual bonding this week, maybe. So I can get that for you, but it is in that range. So let me send that to you. So there's not anything outstanding beyond those items. This now wraps up sort of our annual bonding and any kind of special bonding we have outstanding.
That's inclusive of the downtown TIF bonding that is necessary for the Main Street project. We've gone to market for that several months ago, and all of the TIF investment, the bonding related to building the new streets through City Place. Also, we've completed that transaction as well. So I think you actually are asking this question at a moment where we have very little, where really there isn't anything we're still working on in the immediate future for borrowing.
Thank you, Councilor Shannon. Are there any other councilors who wish to offer comments or have questions about the report? Councilor Grant.
Thank you. I guess not necessarily a question about the report, but just looking into the future. So we have this huge commitment that we must make with regards to the high school. And I've been very concerned as I've been finding out more information about deferred maintenance in the city. So down the line, we may have more issues where things that have been deferred are become like an emergency situation that need to be looked at. So our ability to borrow more money because of what we're borrowing for the high school will be limited. So then we'd have to look at property taxes. So I guess it's not as much as a credit, as much of a statement that we really need to think about that and plan for that. And since I've been here as a counselor, there really hasn't been any detailed discussion about property tax reform. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Councilor Grant. Councilor Barlow.
Thank you, President Powell. I would just ask that the presentation be added to the agenda item along with the report. Thank you.
Are we able to do that, CAO Shad?
Yes, as soon as I take myself off mute, of course.
Great, thanks so much. Seeing no other counselors who wish to speak, no one else in the queue, we will close out that agenda item, and I would just need, Mayor Weinberger.
Thank you, President Paul. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you wanted to go to other counselors first, but just a couple final reactions. Councilor Grant is quite right that we have that the commitment we've made to the high school, as well as the commitment to not to pursue unplanned borrowing until we are back within the policy limits, does present a real challenge with our capital investments in the future. I mean, fortunately, we have, for the last 7 years, been making unprecedented levels of investments in many areas of the city's infrastructure, and we have tens of millions of dollars more coming from the federal government for other infrastructure investments. And we do still have the remainder of FY24, so most of FY24 and FY25, we have elevated capital available to us beyond what we've had historically because of the most recent round of bonding. So we have some time to figure out how we deal with the period of time from FY25 until probably around 2030 without new borrowing. And it is certainly something that we flagged in the budget process last year that we needed to be working on, and that we did. We've started the conversations with the Board of Finance about our various financial challenges. We just had a lengthy session tonight really focused on the operating budget, but we have a similar challenge on the capital budget that we do need to be talking about. I don't think there are easy solutions, but I do think we have the time to figure this out. And in the meantime, if there are true, emergency, it's one of the things that rainy day fund can be used for, is true emergencies. We certainly have the ability and need to use the ability when we have unsafe conditions that arise to address them. But we do need we need to continue the proactive capital work of the last decade and make it a permanent part of how the city goes forward. We have some tools for doing that we didn't used to have. We have software, we have staffers who are working on this, but we still have considerable work to do to really be where we need to in terms of having that kind of stable long-term capital management.
Thank you, Mayor Weinberger. Seeing no others, I will just need a motion to waive the reading, accept the communication, and place it on file. Would there be a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Councilor Grant, I don't always see you at the very end of the table like that with no one else, with. Thank you so much. And seconded by Councilor Travers. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes. Yes, President.
Yes, go ahead, Councilor
Yes,
Chang.
and, you know, I have to say, CFO Chad, thank you so much for being here with us. You know that you're not feeling well, much appreciated, and congratulations, Mr. Mayor. So over the years, what I noticed is Moody or whoever's providing these reports will show up in front of the council. And I was wondering why this time around they're not here.
I don't actually recall Moody's ever, and I don't think they would agree to, they don't really like to, because Councilor Carpenter is laughing, it is sort of, that's not really the way they operate, to come out and make public presentations or statements. We have, and perhaps what you're thinking of, Councilor Jang, we do have a bond consultant, a professional that works for the city, a firm called PFM that I think at times we have heard from them in the past, as well as our auditors. If there was a desire for something specific, we could arrange for that for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councilor Zhang. Councilor Carpenter.
I was giggling because the folks from the credit agencies operate undercover. I've never seen them in a public meeting. But I was just going to add, the press release that the mayor's office sent out included a summary of the credit rating report. And it's interesting. You might just want to look at it. We might even want to put it on the agenda because it just puts medians and factors of the economy in Burlington. And there's a lot behind it. And it's a positive document, and you might be interested in it.
Thank you, Councilor Carpenter. I would agree. We have a first and we have a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to waive the reading and accept the communication and place it on file, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say no. That motion passes unanimously. And many thanks to the Chief Administrative Officer, Catherine Shad, for your work and the work of your department, along with the efforts of all department heads, city staff, the administration, the city council, and also to the community for their support in prioritizing our city's fiscal health. With that, we will close out our deliberative agenda. We have just a couple of items left. The next item is item 7, which is committee reports. Are there any councilors who wish to offer a committee report? Councilor Grant.
Thank you. So the Public Safety Committee is has started discussions about putting forth a resolution. This is something that has been really, I guess I take it very personally because it's something I've been concerned about for some time now, but I know that all the residents of Burlington and employees of Burlington and visitors of Burlington have been very concerned about, which is our overdose crisis. And the purpose of the resolution would be to, in a nutshell, make sure that this crisis is an agenda item on each meeting and that we are keeping up on informing Burlingtonians with what is happening, such as any opioid funds we receive, how are we spending those? We discussed at the last meeting, but also to rally people to be part of a movement to implore the state to release more funds and to also pass legislation that is crucial for us to do harm reduction. And I think also to have a review of data. People always ask questions around data, and we don't we don't really have a way, or we're not in a coordinated fashion giving people the information they need. That's what it really comes down to, is coordinating our efforts and making sure the citizens of Burlington, the residents of Burlington, know where we're at with that. So invite everyone to attend this Thursday evening's meeting, which please remind me the start time. Is that 5:30 or 6? 5:30 Thursday night. And it is are we doing just Zoom?
We are looking for a meeting room, and I don't know that we have secured one yet.
Sure.
There will be Zoom.
So at the bare minimum, it would be hybrid. So if people can't come, they can definitely log in. And we're really looking for our residents to step up to talk about what they've been seeing, because I think we need Mount Pelier to really know what's going on in Burlington. The fact that we can't get this money released to us, the fact that this legislation is getting vetoed, we have to put more effort in. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councilor Grant. Councilor Barlow.
Thank you, President Paul. The Transportation, Energy, and Utilities Committee will be meeting on 9/26 next Tuesday at a time yet to be determined, either 4:30 or 5, but we'll know that within a day or so. On our agenda is proposed language for another survey to the North Winooski Avenue corridor stakeholders, and review of a solar ordinance that South Burlington recently passed. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Councilor Barlow. Any other councilors with committee reports?
Yes, President Paul.
Please go ahead, Councilor
Yep.
Jang.
The Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee will be meeting tomorrow at 5:30, Sharon Bushel Room, and the main agenda items are updates from the Racial Reparation Task Force, also the Gun Violence Task Force, and probably we'll have a Bringing Burlington Home, a presentation about homelessness. Thank you. Tomorrow, 5:30, Bushel Room, and also online. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilor Jang. Councilor Hightower?
Great. The CD&R committee is meeting tomorrow. It was supposed to be at 5, but it's been moved to 6. It is remote only, and we are on the agenda. We're talking about an update on NPA support, a public hearing on CEDO's Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, and also getting an update on homeless initiatives from CEDO. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Councilor Hightower. Any other councilors before we move on to item number 8, which is City Council General City Affairs? Are there councilors who wish to offer comments on General City Affairs? Councilor Shannon.
Thank you, President Paul. Just wanted to speak to the same Public Safety Committee issue that Councilor Grant just mentioned. I appreciated that you, President Paul, had informed us about that meeting, about the resolution, which was originally a public safety resolution and kind of morphed into a public health resolution. And the meeting is going to conflict with another meeting I have, which I think is the Ordinance Committee. It's some meeting with Councilor Travers. But I won't be able to be there, and I just wanted to say that I think that the public safety element of the resolution that was brought forward originally was lost in the second resolution, and I very much hope that the committee will bring public safety back into it. We are in a public health crisis, without a doubt, and we need to address that. But there is also a public safety crisis, and I think sometimes it's difficult for us to have the conversations that we need to have. We are worried that we might offend somebody, but we need to have honest conversations, and we need to wrestle with different ideas, because what we are doing is not working, and our residents don't feel safe. They are being victimized by chronic theft, needles in areas where children play. as well as all over the city. And our residents want to feel safe, and they need to have their property protected as well. People are having the vehicles that they use to get to work, whether it's their cars or their bikes, stolen on a regular basis. It does need to be addressed, and I hope the Public Safety Committee will take that to heart. I'll be in my other meeting. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councilor Shannon. Just to follow up on what Councilor Grant had said, the meeting is the 21st. I'm sorry that it conflicts with yet another meeting. We did try, mostly because of the fact that we wanted to have a quick turnaround after the meeting on the 7th of September. We're following up 2 weeks later. There will be a there will be an agenda posted tomorrow, as well as a draft resolution, and my understanding is that there are others that, committee members that will be coming forward, and not myself, but committee members that will be coming forward with different edits and suggestions that we will then be discussing. So my apologies for not being able to make that, but it will be posted tomorrow. Councilor Grant.
And I just wanted to follow up on that it was discussed at the meeting that this is a work in progress. The final resolution will be a combination of both. But if I can put my police commissioner cap back on, and I know this is not a popular opinion, and it is something that is difficult for people to understand, is that part of the discussion around public safety is really being, really understanding what police can and cannot do. We can have 100 officers on the street tomorrow. They cannot be next to every unlocked car with the keys in it running, which is a way we've had many, many vehicles taken. Unlocked cars, losing things, unlocked doors. This was something when I was a police commissioner, I talked about the increasing, sometimes people call it crimes of opportunity, crimes of poverty, crimes of circumstance, many, many other labels. The root cause had been drugs for some time. So even for the period of time where incidents were still declining from previous years, we had certain types of incidents that were soaring. The larcenies, of course, drugs directly related to the overdoses, the car thefts. So we saw the drugs were influencing all of this, and then thus influencing people's quality of life, and then the dramatic increase in needles, etc. So we all know what's going on. But there definitely has to be a public safety element for it. I don't think people, I have been really trying very hard to fight labels. I think we need to stop politicizing this. I think politicizing public safety and not addressing the issues that are concerns to Burlington, and that is not only our public safety, but also equity and other things. We've slowed progress. So I don't think people should be afraid to speak their mind, but I do think people need to make a point to listen to the meetings. That is something that's really, really difficult, because a lot of people didn't hear the meeting on the 17th, where it was discussed in great detail what the general purpose of the resolution was going to be. And I think if people go back and look at that meeting, if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, I always recommend you do. Especially there was some really excellent and poignant comments made by the chief of our fire department, Chief LaChance, that I think are really important for people to hear. I just think that, what's the best way to summarize this? The more meetings that people actually watch, even if you're just watching particular topics that you're most interested in, you'll have a more rounded understanding of the discussion. Sometimes people come in at different parts of this discussion, and I was concerned last week where people started making all these assumptions and not really listening to what was being said. So we do care about the public safety aspects. There'll definitely be, I feel we need to have some things with addressing what we need to do about dealing. I definitely want to see a strategic plan for that, because we don't really have that right now, in addition to the harm reduction, because we have to do both. We have to do both. We cannot do one or the other. We must do both. You can arrest someone, but if you don't give them treatment, then they're going to go back to using and then possibly repeat activities that they did that got them arrested. So it has to be both harm reduction and public safety. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Councilor Grant. Are there any other councilors who wish to offer comments on general city affairs? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 9, which is council president updates. I don't have any at this time, which will move us to the final item of the evening, item number 10, updates from the mayor. Mayor Weinberger, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, President Paul. 3 pretty quick updates from me, hopefully quick. First of all, this Thursday at noon, we will be celebrating the reopening of the Community Resource Center, and it has been closed in recent months for new investment and upgrading, and during this period, their CVOO and Feeding Chittenden have continued to provide services, but having actually a physical center for doing this is much better, and these services will resume at the site on Winooski Avenue on Thursday. CVOO is increasingly a partner to the city in numerous areas. We're thankful to them for also, as by the time that we meet again, they will have taken over the operation management of the shelter on Shelburne Road that up until now has been operated by a new place, and between their management and the ownership of Champlain Housing Trust of that property, I think this really strengthens the way in which that important shelter will function going forward, and we're grateful for their partnership there. The shelter is going to be operated there in a different way than it has since its inception. There will be less beds, there will be less people housed there, and it's really moving to a more of a model more like we have on Elmwood Avenue, where individuals, guests at the shelter will have a space that's dedicated to them for an extended period of time, so longer as they are upholding their responsibilities. And so I do just want to assure the council, and I'm sure it will be discussed further at the CDNR committee meeting that was mentioned, that the city is working hard to ensure that there not be a gap in services as winter approaches here. We are in conversations with the state trying to understand what kind of shelter program they intend to run for the upcoming season, and we are also taking steps to ensure that we have a winter warming shelter that is operating in the city as we have every year since, I think, 2014. So just want to share with the council and the public that was very much a focus right now, and I'm sure there'll be considerable further discussion of this in the weeks and months ahead.
Great. Thank you so much for that update, Mayor Weinberger. That brings us to the end of our agenda, and I would just ask for a motion to adjourn, please, from someone.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was made by Counselor Barlow and seconded by Counselor Grant. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say no. That brings us to an adjournment at 9:01. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our next meeting is Tuesday, October 10th, and we will look forward to seeing you then.